Hey there, you just clicked on First Down Punts. Nice move. This is a podcast about football and how it relates to fantasy football. Hope you like what you hear. We're going to get this thing started. Let's get crazy. And welcome in, everyone, to another episode of First Down Punts. I'm your host, Coach Chris. Today we're going to be going over our waiver moves and the injury news. Unfortunately, there was a lot of them this week. We still got 2 games to go here on Monday night, but I want to go ahead and get this recorded. Starting off with our injury news, biggest thing right now is Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow has got a turf toe. He left yesterday's game, and he's going to need surgery and will be out 6 to 8 weeks. On top of that, Justin Fields, another quarterback, left yesterday's game with a concussion. Those are usually a little bit shorter time, you hope. More than likely, he'll miss this week and then be ready for the following week. J.J. McCarthy has an ankle injury and is going to possibly be out 2 to 4 weeks. So Carson Wentz will be starting this week and going forward until McCarthy is healthy enough. And Jaden Daniels has a knee sprain, got an MRI done on it this morning, I believe it was. He is questionable for this week right now. It's possible he still plays. It's possible he sits out a week. We're going to wait till the week develops, see the practice reports, see what they're saying going forward. But right now, nothing too serious, just something to keep an eye on. From Thursday's game, we already talked about Austin Eckler. He's gone on IR now with the Achilles tear. Jaden Reed has a broken collarbone. He's out for 6 to 8 weeks. And then Deatrick Wise had a leg injury in Thursday's game as well, the defensive end for the Commanders. He is out for indefinitely, as far as I know. We haven't had any real update on his timeline. It's possible he just goes on IR. Other injuries, Aaron Jones in a Sunday night game has a hamstring. He is out this week, and Jordan Mason will get the start. So obviously he's a big waiver pickup if he's not on anyone's team in your league. The rest of these are just kind of secondary, our defensive or offensive linemen, that'll affect how the offense runs. Dallas center Cooper Beebe is going to be out 6 to 8 weeks with an ankle. Carolina's got 2 offensive linemen going on IR. Their guard, Robert Hunt, the big money player they signed a couple years ago away from the Dolphins. He has an Achilles tear. He's out for the season. And their center, Austin Corbett, has an MCL sprain. He is going on IR. It's possible he comes back, but we'll see how the Panther season goes and see if they decide to bring him back. For Minnesota, besides J.J. McCarthy, center Ryan Kelly has a concussion. He left last night's game, as well as the replacement left tackle with Christian Darrisaw not being ready to start the season yet. Their backup left tackle, Justin School, also has a concussion and had to leave last night's game. So they'll be on their third left tackle if Christian Darrisaw cannot play. And the Bears defensive back, cornerback Jalen Johnson, he's going on season-ending IR. He suffered an injury in yesterday's game and got beat down by the Lions. Let's go Lions. But I like Jalen Johnson. I don't want him getting hurt. I hate the Bears, but I'm a Jalen Johnson fan. If you're good at your job, it's hard for me to hate you too much. Yeah, so he's out for the season. Other than that, let's get into these waivers. As we said, let's go through the quarterbacks first. We'll do quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, and then tight ends, as well as a couple kickers out there that I think you should be paying attention to if you got kickers in your league. But quarterbacks, we're starting with the obvious. J.J. McCarthy's out this week, so Carson Wentz is a pickup. Mac Jones was the one that I told you to get last week in our waiver ads with Brock Purdy being out 2 to 4 weeks. Came out, had 279 and 3 touchdowns, took 3 sacks, 2 fumbles, 1 he lost, but had a productive fantasy day. I think scored like 23 points or something in my home league. Jake Browning, the Bengals backup. Everybody loves the backup. Jake Browning has been loved in Cincinnati for years. Every time Burrow goes down, Browning comes in and wings it around. Doesn't mean it's always successful. But starting to have a concern about Burrow being, you hate to say injury prone, but this is a lot of injuries over the course of his career so far. And he's going to be out 6 to 8 weeks, like I said. So, but yesterday, Jake Browning came in relief, had 241 yards, 2 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, plus a rushing touchdown. So he had 3 total touchdowns and had 24 points in our home league. Daniel Jones, we talked about last week. He's a guy to go get. As much as I hate recommending that, because I thought the Broncos were going to take care of him and make us all realize Daniel Jones is still Daniel Jones, but give him credit, man. He's balled out these first 2 weeks. If you got one of these other guys or Bryce Young actually played well after the first half last week, yesterday, but ended up with like 250 yards or something like that, 280 yards. I forget what it was, but Bryce Young is obviously a roller coaster ride. All these guys are going to be roller coaster rides. It's which one do you love? That's all there is to it. As far as running backs go, obvious name Jordan Mason. We just talked about him in the injury news with Aaron Jones having a hamstring. This is something he's had before. It's kept him out 1 week. It's kept him out 6 weeks. So you don't know the extent of it just yet. We're waiting to find out more information. But as of right now, Aaron Jones is out for this week, and Jordan Mason should have already been on a roster and is a priority add. Jeremy McNichols, Chris Rodriguez, the Commanders running backs, they are both worth a waiver pickup if you don't have Ja'Cory Croskey-Merritt, simply for the fact that they want to use a two-back system there in Washington, it seemed like. And if that's the case, McNichols is probably more likely the pass down back. The fact that Bill only got 4 carries in last Thursday's game was ridiculous. Bad play calling, bad game design as far as I'm concerned. And it's possible, though, that this becomes a 3-headed headache. You got Rodriguez, McNichols, and Croskey-Merritt all involved, and it becomes what Cleveland just became yesterday, which is a little bit of a headache. We'll get into that when we get into Cleveland stuff. But right now, both of these guys are worth a flyer on simply for the fact that if they get involved in that Washington offense, they're going to be somewhat fantasy valuable. Other running backs, Bashaw Tootin. We talked about him last week after Tank Bigsby got traded. Tootin was obviously the higher pick in the draft. Him and LaQuinton Allen were both rookies this year. They both got the ball in the first game. Bashaw Tootin got the majority of backup carries in this game. ETN not as successful. Bashaw Tootin ends up with the touchdown and was involved in the pass game. It was a receiving touchdown, and he was involved in the pass game and the run game. So someone definitely to go out there and get. Blake Corum had a touchdown yesterday. Kyron Williams looked a little wasn't efficient yesterday is more than anything is the best way to put it. But Blake Corum, if he's going to get involved, this happens every year. I don't know how high a priority I'd be putting on Blake Corum. That's more of the insurance policy to me as opposed to a guy that I think is going to be involved enough to get points, but something always to mention when he comes in and gets the touchdown. Cam Scatteraboo, the Giants backup running back, much more involved than I thought he would be this week. Had 11 for 45 and a touchdown, was on the field quite a bit. I believe he still did kick returns yesterday. That's always something that adds value if you get kick returns, points for kick return yardage and touchdowns and stuff. So Ray Davis, the Buffalo Bills backup, he was involved a little bit yesterday, but always a good insurance policy. He just got dropped in my home league is what made me think about it because I'm in running back need, so I had to pick him up. But just a guy that if something happens to James Cook, you saw those 2 touchdowns yesterday from him. Ray Davis will be a very productive back. Him and Ty Johnson both really, but we'll probably split the touches, but Ray Davis will be more of the running back. So someone to always consider if you got an open spot, hey, let me grab this insurance back just in case. Miles Sanders got 5 for 15 and a touchdown yesterday. We saw how successful Javonte was running for, I think it was like 93 and 2 touchdowns. But so he's got 3 touchdowns. I think he had 1 touchdown yesterday and 2 the first game. So 3 touchdown total through the first 2 games, which I guess that Dallas offense is back to being valuable for running backs, but they did just lose Cooper Beebe. So we'll see what happens in week 3 with the running backs if they're as successful. But definitely had a good day yesterday. Both of them scored a touchdown. Both of them were involved. Obviously, Javonte was the more dominant one, so if he's out there, go pick him up, but I doubt he is. Miles Sanders is more likely the one that's out there. And with Jaden Blue being inactive again, it's definitely someone that is the next guy up if something happens to Javonte. So, last guy, Quinshon Judkins. We talked about him last week with him getting into practice mode. I did not think he was going to be involved as he was. All 3 running backs were involved, which surprised me. I didn't think Ford would be if Judkins was. So, it's hard to figure out what's going on in Cleveland, but I definitely believe that Judkins is going to be the starter. Sampson is going to be the receiving back because he scored a touchdown at the end of the game, again, on a reception. And Judkins was the main ball carrier. Ford was involved in receiving, running, and returning. I think he did some kick returns. So he was scoring points all over the place. But they got beat down by Baltimore, and I think a lot of that was, hey, we're not going to overdo Judkins this first week. Let's get him 10, 11 carries, which he had. Oh, man, I forgot to write his stats down. I think he had 11 carries. And like I said, nothing big, but just showed that he's probably going to be the number one there. Now, you still have to worry about is he getting suspended? We're waiting to hear if anything happens with that, if there's any rumors or anything coming out. I'm looking for him, but nothing as of yet. So you get Judkins in your lineup if he's going to be the starting running back there. As far as receivers go, we talked about Jaden Reed being injured. Romeo Doubs was my sneaky start for last week. Said he'd get a touchdown, and he did hit another one. Gotta love it. But more importantly, Dontavian Wicks was quite involved in the first half of the game. I think he only ended up with 3 or 4 catches. But it's a Green Bay, man. Every week it could be somebody different, but as long as if a guy gets hurt, the possibility goes up for that guy to be doing good. Romeo Doubs and Dontavian Wicks are just two guys that I doubt. I mean, Golden wasn't involved. He was invisible again. But those two guys, Doubs is an every down starter. Dontavian Wicks is going to be on the field more if Jaden Reed isn't there. So these are both guys that I think are worth a deep league pickup and see where it goes from here. Doubs, you might be able to start as a third or fourth receiver, a flex guy like that, and count on him for at least 6 to 10 points every week because he's going to be on the field and the options are going down. Tucker Kraft obviously had a huge game. People are going to pay attention to that and adjust their defenses to cover Tucker Kraft more. I still think he's going to be a successful tight end this year, going to finish as a top 10 tight end in fantasy. But any good defensive coordinator is going to go, all right, well, we're not going to let that shit happen to us. So doesn't mean it's not going to happen to them. It means they will adjust and try to stop it, though. And that's going to open up opportunities for those other guys. Rashid Shaheed, he was on our waiver video last week, came out at 4 for 52 and a touchdown. Going to be involved, guys. He's a number 2 receiver there. And Spencer Rattler had a pretty damn good day yesterday, but they didn't win. Could have won, but couldn't pull it out at the end there. So, Alec Ayomaner, 4 for 56 and a touchdown. Another guy we talked about last week, the rookie in Tennessee there. He actually outperformed Calvin Ridley this week. And is a guy I told you, he's going to be their number 2. And the better Cam Ward gets in the NFL, the more he progresses and has a better understanding exactly how to approach the game in the NFL, just being faster, the windows he can fit it in, the windows he can't. He made a hell of a play to Ayomaner. Ran out to the left, came running back to the right, threw across his body, which any quarterback coach, a head coach, offensive coordinator will tell you, you don't want to see it. But if it works, you just clap. Say, oh, shit, that was a close one. But he did. He threw I think it was like 20, 25 yards across his body to the end zone of Ayomaner coming back across the end zone, caught it for the touchdown. It was a really nice play by both players. And that connection's only going to get better going forward. So if he's on your waiver, go get him. DeAndre Hopkins. We got to talk about this guy for the simple fact that he's got 2 touchdowns in 2 weeks and should have had a third. He got tackled at the 1 on a real long catch. And they ended up, I forget what happened on that next play. But all the same, he should have had 3 touchdowns in 2 weeks. And he's only getting a couple catches a week, but they are valuable as shit. And we know Baltimore's going to score. As long as Lamar healthy, he's going to be looking for him at some point during the game, apparently. And to go along with that, what is it, Tyvon Wallace? I forget what the Wallace kid's first name is. Tyson Wallace, something like that. He caught 2 touchdowns yesterday. He's a guy that pops off every now and again and gets a touchdown, has a big week or something, but not a guy I'm willing to count on. Hopkins was a free agent signing. I imagine if there is going to be a third guy involved in their pass-catching routes, it's going to be him or Bateman. And Bateman's banged up right now, so Hopkins is worth an ad in some leagues. Darnell Mooney and Wan'Dale Robinson. Mooney only had a couple of catches yesterday, but it was his first game back. Get him on your team because he's only going to get better. Wan'Dale Robinson, he was in our waiver ads last week. Went 8 for 142 and a tutty. Caught a nice long touchdown. One of the moon balls from Russell Wilson. Hey, Russell Wilson balled out against that Dallas defense. That's all there is to it. They didn't win the game. But for fantasy, he went for 350 and 3, I think it was, or 2. I forget how many touchdowns Russell Wilson had at the end of the day. But not a guy I'm recommending picking up because I don't think he's going to be long for the start. I think he will be replaced at some point this season. Just had a really good fantasy day yesterday. All right, and if you want to pick him up, pick him up. You're dealing with a Burrow injury. You don't want to start Browning. You're dealing with a J.J. McCarthy injury. Don't want to start Wentz, or your starter's sucking ass. you could take a chance on Russ. He's still a vet, but I'm not. I'm not willing to get invested in Russell Wilson yet, even as a third quarterback. So, depending on how big your league is, in single quarterback leagues, Russell Wilson wouldn't be on my roster ever. In two quarterback leagues that you need a third string backup, he's getting into that range where, all right, well, I can put Russ on the backup spot if he's going to perform like that. But week one, he was terrible. We all thought he was getting benched. Week two, he comes out and wings it all over. It's going to be more about the defense he's facing. And with the Cowboys missing Deron Bland, not having Micah Parsons anymore, it was a little bit easier going. So if that's the case, then the games where the defenses aren't our bottom half, maybe you can start Russ and get some points out of them and just avoid the tougher defenses, the top half of the league defenses, and go from there. But Wan'Dale Robinson is going to be involved regardless until the quarterback change, and we're going to have a whole readjustment. Obviously, Neighbors balled out yesterday and tried to win the game for him, had his 2 touchdowns in a huge day. But Wan'Dale Robinson is going to be involved. They don't really have a tight end to speak of. I told you I'm not interested in Theo Johnson, although he had a few catches yesterday. Just Wan'Dale's a guy, the only other guy on the Giants besides the running back and Neighbors that I'm really interested in there. As far as tight ends go, number 1 on that list, Juwan Johnson. I told you about him last week. I told you about him in the preseason. Juwan Johnson is going to be a guy that's going to get you points. Caught a touchdown yesterday. Still involved. Rattler's still looking for him, and they're winging the ball all over the place. Kellen Moore's got him passing quite a bit, even though they're having success running the ball. Rattler's out there winging it around these first couple weeks. So, Juwan Johnson, he's going to be involved. He's a guy you can start at tight end with Kittle and Bowers and all these other guys and Ingram. Well, Ingram played yesterday, but you couldn't have told me that. He was in a flex start for me, and I wish I would have said, no, don't do that. Adam Troutman ended up being the tight end that got the touchdown there yesterday in Denver. But Juwan Johnson's a guy I like. Harold Fannin, another guy. Go get him on your team. He's still involved. Fannin had 5 for 48 yesterday. He didn't get the touchdown, but still had a number 2 tight end, a bottom 12 tight end, whatever you want to call it, wherever you want to rank him in your top 16. He still had a week that you're not like, oh, man, I got a 0 from, which is the case with a lot of tight ends. So Harold Fannin being involved, and then Njoku was more involved yesterday. So they were both on the field doing stuff, and neither one of them goose-egged or got a 1 or anything like that. They both had enough to get points and were worthy of a start if you needed them. The other tight end I was thinking about putting on here I'm going to is Davis Allen, tight end for the Rams. I mentioned this in our start sit. I was avoiding all Rams tight ends because we're still trying to figure out what's going on there. Higbee's coming back for injury. Ferguson, the rookie, hasn't been involved at all, who I was a real big fan of, but with the injury in the preseason, he got behind. I'm still expecting him over the course of the season to be involved. But Davis Allen has been involved the first 2 weeks. And if he's going to stay being involved, then he's someone that you got to pay attention to with that offense because although Puka and Devontae Adams are out there getting most of the catches, there's still some to go around when they're being guarded. Somebody's got to catch the ball. Davis Allen and the running back there, Kyron Williams, both guys that can catch, both guys that can be involved. Davis Allen is the one that's going to be on your waiver wire, though. Kyron Williams was probably a top 36 pick in your league, and Davis Allen wasn't drafted anywhere other than the craziest of places. So just a guy that pay attention to him. Go check out his stats. Maybe you need a tight end. Maybe you're in a super deep league or a 2 tight end premium league. He's a guy that you should be keeping an eye on, maybe not rushing out to pick up over some of these other guys, but somebody that if you're in need of a tight end and you don't get one of these other tight ends off the waiver, you can still possibly get some points out of. But as for our kicker waiver ads, there's just a couple guys I wanted to talk about. That is Spencer Strader of the Indianapolis Colts and Parker Romo, newly signed to the Atlanta Falcons after that Younghoe Koo miss in week 1. He was made inactive. They haven't cut him yet or anything. But they signed Parker Romo and promoted him from the practice squad to start. Made 5 field goals. Spencer Strader in my home league has scored 16 and 18 points the first 2 weeks. Had to pick him up. Parker Romo's under consideration because we start 2 kickers in my home league, 2 defenses. It's a wild situation. But 2 guys that both made 5 field goals yesterday that are on offenses that are getting plenty of opportunities. Credit to Daniel Jones and the Colts because they're putting themselves in situations. They've scored on every drive for the first 2 weeks, which I believe is the first time in NFL history. Besides that, tonight's game's about to start here, Houston and Bucks and Raiders and Chargers at 10 p.m. In the Houston game, pay attention to Woody Marks. Damian Pierce is inactive tonight. Dario Gumbuale fumbled, had the big fumble in last week's game. It cost him probably a chance to win. So I'm paying attention to Woody Marks in that Houston and Bucks game. And then in the Raiders and Chargers game, I need to know, does Quentin Johnston continue to succeed? How much is Keenan Allen going to be continuing to be involved, which I'm a big Keenan Allen guy. Does Ladd get on track? These are all things I'm looking for in that. And is Tyler Conklin going to be a waiver ad? And then for Raiders side, Michael Mayer, man. He was involved with Brock Bowers on the field. If Brock Bowers ends up being inactive tonight, obviously Mayer's a start. But going forward, I want to know, I hope Brock Bowers plays tonight, and we get to see how much they're going to use Michael Mayer and Brock Bowers together. Because he could be a waiver ad even with Brock Bowers there. Brock Bowers is a number one receiver for them. Michael Mayer could be their actual like tight end stats kind of guy, 4 or 5 catches a game. Brock Bowers is walking out there with 9, 10 catches a game a lot of times. So, but this is all interesting to see with the new quarterback, new head coach, new OC. What does Kelly like to do with his tight ends? What does Pete Carroll like to do with the tight ends? How does Geno use his tight ends? These are all things we're paying attention to with that Raiders game. So if there's a chance that Mayer could be someone you could be starting, even with the other, this could be like the Patriots back in the day with the 2 tight ends. If you can start both of them, it's just more options in fantasy, and we love all that. Good luck tonight in your Monday night games. If you got guys going, I got Nick Chubb. I'm hoping for a 3-touchdown effort out here. I need some points. Give me some points, man. Other than that, we're going to get out of here. Hope you guys are having a good afternoon, good evening, good morning, whatever time you're watching. Enjoy the Monday night football games. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. And we'll see you next time. I'm out. First down, Punts!